Everybody knows what an apple is, from your grandmother to your dog. But just like anything successful, this American national tech giant came from a place of humble beginnings. Hi, I'm Mr. Duckman Guy, and today we'll be taking a look at the tragic downfall of Steve Jobs. In 1971, Stephen Urkel Jobs and Stephen Gary Wozniak created a company in their garage on April Fool's Day as a prank on Walt Disney Studios. Little did they know they would live to regret this funny little joke, because you don't mess with the bull or else you get the horns. In the meantime, Apple would release their first computer, the Apple No. 1, and in 1977 they would introduce the Apple No. 2 into the market. The Apple II used floppy disks, and fun fact, that's actually why the universal save icon looks like that. The Apple II would go on to sell a bajillion units, more than any computer unit that ever came before or since. By the way guys, don't forget to like and subscribe, and leave a comment below on what I should summarize next. Jobs had attended Reach College before co-founding Apple, where he took a calligraphy class which he credited as his greatest inspiration and for curing his depression. In 1980, Jobs visited Xerox Photocopy Machine Incorporated, where he had a vision of the future. At that time, no one knew how to use a computer other than the ancient Unix wizards. But what if he made a computer that was actually easy to use? And that's exactly what he did. He created Macintosh, which was released in 1984, the same year as the titular book. But sadly, Macintosh was too expensive and no one bought it. It was the biggest failure in the history of the millennium, and Steve Jobs was kicked out from his own company. In a move of pure spite, he bought Star Wars Studio and rebranded it as Pixar, which then produced the hit 1995 animated feature film, Toy Story. It went on to make more money than any motion picture before or since. Meanwhile, Apple hadn't made any new computers in decades, and was bleeding money. They literally begged Jobs to come back. So in 1997, Steve Jobs returned to Apple and created the iPod, which could store 1,000 songs. Immediately, Apple's stock prices skyrocketed. They hadn't seen success like this in decades. Then Steve Jobs created the iPhone, which was the first computer to not let you write native programs for it without putting them on the App Store.
iPhone. Today,
it was Apple's biggest success ever. But behind the scenes, things weren't going so well for Jobs. He had been infected with a rare, incurable disease by his old rival, the Disney company, which would take Pixar from him and drive it into the ground. In the end, Steve Jobs would die of ligma.
Who the hell is Steve Jobs?
Ligma balls.
Let me just step right in. I got things to advance. I'm an innovator, baby, change the world. 4 to 500 before you kiss the girl. I'm a pimp, you're a nerd. I'm slick, you're cheesy. Beating you is Apple too easy.
yeah.